All right. Sound the sirens. We'll just say this is episode 1.
Episode 1, Sound the Sirens.
This is Michael.
What up? Iowa
I'm
State alumni.
Thomas. I used to be a manager at Iowa State, which we're going to talk about Iowa State basketball.
Yep. Half of our first semester. Start of the Steve Prohm era. George Ding's senior year.
And then you quit.
I did quit.
Which game did you quit?
I quit. I was a manager for one exhibition game. And then I was still a manager during the Colorado game that they played in South Dakota.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you quit that early.
And then I got a meeting the next day and quit.
Before the Chicago State game?
Before the Chicago State game, I cut the film for the Chicago State game. Shout out to the rest of the managers. They were all awesome. But I am now in medical school and almost done. But I regret my decision every day. So it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about the rise and fall of Iowa State basketball today, which we have a lot to cover.
I got to college in 2013, arguably like right in the middle of the rise of the Fred Hoiberg era. I've seen some of the best games in Iowa State history in the student section. It's very sad to think about the lines we used to have then. And now, I mean, obviously with COVID, you can't have fans or anything, but
I think that's saving how sad it'd be.
Yeah, I mean, if we had fans, there would be 8,000 people to start the game by halftime. Half of them would be gone.
No students.
Yeah, I mean, even my senior year, there wasn't lines to get in the building.
Yeah,
And Monte Morris was a senior, arguably
the
the second best point guard in Iowa State history. Which
we kind of got spoiled.
Yeah, but it's just Hilton was like an incredible place. Like Fran Fraschilla always talked it up, but back then it was like legitimately one of
Top
the
5
toughest places to play, and like the fans would be loud enough to will us if we weren't shooting well or if we weren't playing well. Like if the fans like picked up the team, I feel like we could will them to have like a 10-0 run, and then we would be back in it. Like,
yeah, that's the one. That's my like biggest criticism of Steve. Like right out the bat, he really didn't know how to use Hilton. Like the reason why Fred knew how to use it so well because he played in it.
Yeah.
Like he literally built Hilton Magic, and like I feel like Steve never understood that. Like we would getting on a run, and then he calls a timeout if we make a basket. Like that's usually like because the crowd gets so loud, then they call timeout. Like I feel like that's just a waste of timeout.
Yeah, well, I mean, during his first year, like there was an article about how like that was different. So like I don't know if it was just like this is my thing, so I'm just gonna do it. At times it just felt like, okay, we need a timeout. I'm just gonna wait until we score. But sometimes like it would be after a really big shot, and then like that could have potentially been the turning point.
Yeah, I never get it. Still don't get it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look back at the games, there's just some times where it's just took the air out of the building. And
yeah, like the first game that comes to mind was the Iowa game. I feel like we should have absolutely obliterated them.
When we lost them, Monte's senior year?
No, George's the senior year where we came back and
I mean, was that the Utah 27-point first half?
Like 28 points the first half, and then we willed our way back, and
we're down like 20, I think.
We were ranked 4th, and then after we won, we stormed the court, which I was really mad about.
I wasn't ranked.
No, it was and then 2 weeks later or 9 days later, we lose UNI as we're ranked 4th.
I don't remember the last time we beat UNI.
Yeah, basketball. Yeah.
Maybe when we were in middle school?
I don't remember. Yeah. I mean, didn't we win with
Royce lost to him?
Jamil's first game was, I think, against UNI. I think we beat him.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because Jamil sat out the first semester.
Yeah. And then,
of Fred's last year.
And then I'll just keep going on here. We lost to Baylor at home. We gave up 94 points.
This is Georgia's senior year?
Yeah, we gave up 94 points. That's the first time Baylor ever beat Iowa State in Hilton. What was that day?
Ever.
Yeah. Just looking at this now, we gave up 90. We lost 89 to 94 to Baylor, and then the next Tuesday we lost to Texas 91-94. So 2 games in a row giving up 94 points. But we also scored 91, which is like crazy now looking back at it.
Look at that roster. Like it was the best offensive team we may ever have. And I mean, you just look back, like Scott Drew couldn't beat us.
Yeah, he was like, it was like a thing that he couldn't win against Iowa State.
And like, he like loved us. Like Scott Drew was like a big Iowa State fan. Like if Scott Drew like had the weekend off, he would probably come to Hilton and watch a game. Oh boy.
There's Tinsley.
All right.
A special appearance.
This is the best point guard in Iowa State history.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, then I don't really remember this year that much. Like, it's been so long.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I got to see the beginning of it. Obviously, a big transition. George's class, all was recruited by Fred. Loved Fred. Had some amazing seasons, and to say it was rocky to start is probably an understatement. We almost lost to Tulane in a scrimmage.
Yeah.
George had hit a last-second 3 to win.
That was the pony-haired guy that played for Texas, transferred to Texas.
Yeah. Transferred.
Can't remember his name.
His number, like a bigger guy with a tattoo.
Yeah,
they're big
played for Texas.
White guys that can shoot threes. I think he had like 7 threes against us one time. Yeah, and he was just kind of up and down. Obviously, different coaching styles when you're used to something, and just have been so successful. It's pretty tough to want to change.
And I just remember this year that it took forever to run through offense through George. We tried to run it through Monte.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Steve, the reason he got the job was he had 2 NBA point guards at Murray State, so he just was able to rely on a really talented point guard. So it was just kind of, he's like, oh, I'm just going to Iowa State. They've got a great point guard, but.
Yeah, like just looking at the hire now, like all the players wanted TJ. And it was just, I mean, then TJ was on the staff.
For 1 year.
So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. Steve had some good moments, but I think it's really shown the last 2 years that, I mean, we made a mistake. We hired the wrong guy. And, I mean, it's hard to knock Jamie for anything for what he's done for Iowa State, but I think this is also assuming that Steve gets fired this year. I think the writing's on the wall, but I don't know. You never know with COVID. It could be like the great cop-out and give him 1 more year with a good recruit coming in, which I disagree with.
I don't think our fan base wants him back. Like, the season ticket sales next year would go down so much. And we need juice. Like, Hilton is the reason why we have gotten anything in a program. Yeah. Johnny made it about the fans. And, yeah, it's so telling when we lose games, the fans just...
No one cares. I mean, no one, I would consider ourselves some of the bigger Iowa State fans I've ever met, and I actively try to not watch games, which is the first time it's ever happened in my life. Maybe that shows that I'm not the biggest fan. I don't know, but like, it's just, we are painful to watch.
We're terrible on defense, and we're awful
and we
on
can't
offense.
Score. Like, at least with Fred, like, we knew we sucked at defense, but we just kind of owned it. We're like, okay, we'll just outscore you. But like, we don't have a thing, and I feel like identity-less basketball teams are never good. We've haven't had an identity for the last 3 years.
But like the difference between this year and Lindell's, Jeff Beverly's year was that we had the future. Like Cam went off that year, Lindell was good, and like we had
Shaq coming the next year.
It's Shaq sitting out, which we knew he was good because we played against him in the tournament, and that was the hope. And then we had
Taylor and
Tyrese coming in.
Yeah.
And we didn't think Tyrese was going to be that good. And like Tyrese, first couple of weeks, they're like, someone said that he was going to be playing in the NBA. He could have left that year.
Right.
And been in the first round.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, it wasn't like we fell right away. Like, we did pretty well with Steve's first 2 years with Fred's recruits. And then it was just like, okay, what's he going to do with his guys? He got a 5-star recruit in Lindell, a really good power forward in Cam Lard. And then with Shaq coming in, like arguably probably the second best transfer we've ever had. that could be a conversation for another time. But
Yeah.
we had the pieces to take continue to build the program, and then we have fallen in 2 years.
It's just his highs are really high. Like Lindell, Lindell was mismanaged.
Yeah.
Made him.
Potentially hard to coach. We don't really know.
Yeah, we didn't. We can't. Just looking at his body language, like he never. Like I don't know. He just something fell off. Like that. If Steve doesn't come, like if the Big 12 tournament, if we don't win that, I think Steve's already gone.
Yeah.
Because like he lost the team, we were fighting. Remember that West Virginia game? We were fighting amongst each other, and it was like that's when the first time was like, what is going on? And
With all that talent, yeah, it's just. I think Steve entered a program he didn't fully understand and really was in over his head a little bit. I mean, he was a relatively new coach, had really good success at Murray State with really good talent in a conference where if you have one talented player, you can be really good. So, I mean,
he's had some bad luck,
but he's also had some really good luck. So I think that's his luck has been neutral. And I think he's just not, as far as X's and O's, he's just not that good of a coach. I think he's a good recruiter, but we get out coached and we've lost because of coaching more than not.
Yeah. Whenever it's a close game, we don't have any confidence that he's going to draw something up.
Right. And
he hasn't done it ever.
Never. Yeah. And coming from Fred, who was potentially not the best game planner, but coming out of halftime, I just remember vividly, like the first 5 minutes, we always had kind of an edge because Fred would watch and then he would figure out, he would see something and then he would take advantage of it in the second half. And Steve has a game plan and then we just kind of do that until it either works or doesn't. And unfortunately, the last 2 years, it hasn't worked. So I think it's too bad.
Just looking back on it, like if Shayok doesn't make those shots against Kansas State,
yeah,
he's already fired.
Yeah,
because like last year.
Because if you look at the end of that year, we were imploding. We lost the last 3 games of Big 12 play with one of the most talented teams we've had. Like, I think that team talent-wise was as good as probably the Georgia teams. Yeah.
Like, if Iowa, like, looking at Iowa, just, like, make a comparison, like, how their players aren't good enough to go to the NBA, so they stay. If, like, Talon and Tyrese and Cam and Lindell would be all in this year's team.
Yeah, it'd be seniors.
Yeah. We'd probably be the most talented team in the Big 12.
Right. Yeah. So it's, again, turnover happens in every program. It's just
the recruits that he gets that aren't gems are horrible.
Yeah, I think that's probably understating it. When he misses on a recruit, he misses bad. I mean, you look at that first recruiting class was Jacoby Long, Terrence Lewis.
Yeah. Just like looking at the
Daryl Bowie and Merle Holden.
Yeah.
Daryl Bowie was okay.
No, his first recruiting class was Jeff Beverly, Hans Bruce, Lindell.
No. Monte's senior year was his first recruiting class.
No, George's senior year, and then the next year
was Monte's senior year, which was Daryl Bowie, Merle Holden.
Oh, okay.
And Jacoby Long and Terrence Lewis.
Yeah. Then Nick Babb was eligible, which was Fred's last transfer. Who's the last recruit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that brings up a really good point as far as mismanaging rosters.
Like Jacoby, like not to bash him. I mean, I'm going to, but like when I watched him shoot this first shot,
his first day on camp, like his first game.
Yeah, I'm like, is that guy a walk-on?
4-star recruit.
He was the second from Mr. Basketball behind Malik Monk,
who plays for the Hornets.
Like, it didn't make any sense. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, that's I just think where it comes where like the difference between a coach that is either really experienced within the game of basketball or played basketball can kind of notice those things. Like, I mean, you can look at coaches that were not the best basketball coaches, but studied the game enough where they could see it. Roy Williams, Bill Self, Coach K, like those guys weren't the best players. Fred was a really good player, played a long time in the NBA, and was in the front office. Like he was
surrounded by the best coaches
all the time, but he also was able to notice talent when he could see it and notice when not to. So like Fred, if you look at his first couple of recruiting classes, just hit home run after home run. And
he only missed like 5 recruits, I'd say.
Yeah. And
the whole
some would
time,
argue that at the end he kind of left us in a tough spot, but
he left us 7 NBA players.
yeah, but his last class was rough. But I mean, if you argue if Clayton Custer stays, had a pretty decent career at Loyola, so
let
the Final Four. So
yeah, that's a low key thing that bad luck for Prohm if
Clayton stays.
If Clayton stays,
yeah, the transition from Monte would have been
because like when we've struggled. I mean, we've struggled a lot, but we don't have a point guard.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, last year's team was bad.
Yes,
but Tyrese, we almost beat Michigan that year.
Yeah, we had a lottery pick just holding us up, and
but as soon as he went, we lost 7 Big 12 games in a row.
I think we've lost 16 in a row. 2 years, 16, and Lindell's year we were 13, 18, 9 and 7 at home.
But we had some good wins that year too.
We didn't win a road game. We had some good wins. We beat Iowa. Jeff Beverly and Hansberry's starting lineup beat Iowa
by 8.
Yeah, Tyler Cook. Rough.
Yikes.
We beat Baylor at home by 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that team, like I thought that team, like we complained a ton about Jeff Beverly, a ton about Hansberry.
It was like a running joke, yeah.
But like compared to the last 2 years, that team would kick
the crap out of our team this year. They beat number 8 Texas Tech 70-52.
Yeah. I think that just shows that like that was the year where like we have talent, we just don't have all the pieces yet. The last 2 years, aside from Tyrese, we have no pieces.
Yeah. That's where Talon and Tyrese was supposed to be there,
but I mean,
but that's an excuse.
It's an excuse, and like
you could Fred could have the excuse. Oh, can't overturn transfers every year. Like we had Corey Lucius and Will Clyburn,
and then followed up with DeAndre Kane,
and
Matt Thomas, Monte Morris.
Yeah,
it's the game of basketball. There's turnover, and again, we're not here to bash the players. Like,
it's not their fault.
It's not their fault. Like, we're just not putting ourselves in places where we can win. We're not putting the players. I would even argue that even when we have the players, we just don't put them in positions that give us the best chance to win. And I guess that's the main kind of theme behind why we think a change is needed. Because I guess probably my biggest beef with the whole Prohm era is Lindell's sophomore year, he gets hurt. Forces him to start Tyrese.
Yep, Tyrese kills it.
Tyrese is great. That's awesome. But even when Tyrese was starting, Nick Babb was point guard.
Yeah. Nick Babb's not a
and Nick Babb was a solid college basketball player. He's playing overseas in Germany. I know Nick. He's a great guy. Like
he could have been a way better though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so Nick probably hadn't played point guard since middle school.
Yeah, that's the thing about Prohm. He just puts point guard. I don't know if it's a recruiting thing, but we had Tyrese that year.
Right, Tyrese
playing in the NBA.
Is the 6th man for the Kings playing point guard.
Has the second best odds to win the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, my argument is Lindell should have started. Lindell, Tyrese should have been the backcourt. Nick coming off the bench. I think that would have been the optimum. But even you keep Nick Babb in for continuity or whatever he said that year, it makes no sense that Tyrese wasn't playing point guard the whole year.
And Cam Lard was on the bench too. That
behind,
was attitude
behind Mike Jacobson.
Yeah.
Who again
he was a solid player.
Solid.
Yeah.
But
Cam was probably
the highest ceiling.
Probably the highest ceiling of a
big man.
Big man like Craig Brackens, Royce White, Cam Lard since Kelvin Cato probably.
Yeah, that's in that order.
Jared
probably.
Holman.
No, but he's probably more talented than Jared.
Yeah, more talented. He had a double against
Obama.
And
21 and 17.
Yeah. The year with Jeff Beverly where we were terrible. And then Lindell refresh my memory, did Lindell get hurt the first game?
First game.
And then we played Missouri, and then that's when Tyrese started. And then Lindell did.
He was out for a month or two, came back around Christmas.
Yeah.
But then he came off the bench
I think he came back the Drake game, I think. if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but then that whole year, it was just if Lindell was on, he would play. If he wasn't playing perfect, he would come out and wouldn't play that much. I think he played like 20-some minutes a game. Cam Lard played 12 minutes a game that year.
Like Cam Lard and Lindell would come in for Nick and then Mike Jacobson. That's like...
But it wasn't like but it wasn't like he came in and then he would just kind of see who played the best. It was just like they had their minutes restricted. Unless they were absolutely going off, they would play longer.
Yeah.
If they weren't, they would just play their 20 to 12 minutes a game. And that team
was good.
Really good. That team didn't win a tournament game.
The team should have won the conference easy. The conference that year was bad.
That was your Kansas was down. Kansas sucked that year in relative to Kansas terms.
We beat them by 17 at home when they were in 5th.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
There's a ton of infuriating parts of.
I remember we beat. I can't remember the Lindell year. We beat Oklahoma, and then we came back, and we lost to TCU. That was the game where I'm like, okay, things are turning bad, because Bain and like all those people went off. They shot. Yeah. They went off. They gave up 92 to 83.
They gave 92 to TCU.
We gave up 56 points in the second half against TCU.
56 points in the second half?
Yeah. They were
arguably with the best defensive roster we've ever had.
Yeah, like Shaq
coached under Coach Bennett from Virginia, who lets up 40 points a game.
Nick Babb was
a great defender. Talon was a good defender at times when he wanted to.
Cam could block
Tyrese
shots.
was a great defender. Cam was the best low post presence defensively we've had since Jameel.
Yeah.
And before then, since
Cato.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Visor.
Like the whole Prohm was like, we're going to play defense. That was the year to do it. And we still didn't. And I think that
was the turning point where things went south. But the thing about that team was they're so random. Like after that, we had a week off.
And Talon would go off like 30 against K-State.
Yeah. 78 to 64.
And K-State was good that year.
I think K-State went to the Elite Eight that year.
Yeah. Almost went to the Final Four.
And then
Dean Wade in them.
We come back and then lose to Baylor. I don't think Baylor was that good this year. And then we lost at TCU. And then we lost 3 in a row.
Which we thought the wheels were coming off. We thought we were going to be like an 8 or 9 seed.
Yeah. And then
we win the Big 12 tournament, get up to a 6 seed, play an Ohio State team that had one big guy. And we scored 59 points?
Yeah, I was there. It was
you drove to Tulsa.
Yeah, it was really bad. Tulsa, wouldn't go there again.
Not great?
Not great. It was like 70, but it was just a bad. I didn't want to. We scored 59 points.
Yeah, with Talon rotation with the best team in the NBA. Tyrese,
Talon was
one of the best rookies in the NBA.
Talon had 2 points. Tyrese had 4.
Shaq, the second best transfer we've ever had.
Cam
Lard, I feel like Cam Lard's pretty polarizing within the Iowa State world.
But he was good.
So talented. The Iowa State purists, they can see he was maybe a head case. He maybe had some attitude issues. We don't really know what went behind the scenes, but you cannot argue he always played hard.
Yeah.
And he always he produced.
And he was about the Hilton Magic. He would
he would pump up the crowd. Yeah. He was stomping around. He'd get teased for stomping too loud. But
every time he'd dunk, he'd slap the backboard.
Yeah, it was sweet. That's what the energy juiced us.
Yeah, the energy we haven't had any since since then.
That was the year. We had a down year after an unbelievable couple of years. It's not just one down year wasn't the death sentence. It was we have a chance to get back to where we go. And the thing is I feel like Iowa State fans get a bad rap for having unreasonable expectations. I don't think so. I think we're a pretty realistic fan base. And Fred showed us what was possible. Fred never won a Big 12 title in the regular season.
No.
But he showed Fred would make teams that could win, legitimately beat anyone in the country.
Yeah.
At any given night.
Yeah.
Consistently, they never found it. But there was not a game where you went into it, you're oh, we're going to get rolled today.
Yeah.
Even the Kentucky game with Anthony Davis, we were down 4 in the second half.
Because Royce went off. We shot 4
2 for 25 from 3 that day.
Yeah.
And we only lost by 18.
Yeah.
It was the closest game Kentucky had that entire tournament.
Yeah, Kentucky was arguably one of the best teams ever, too.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is top 6 player in the NBA. And they had like 5 other NBA players. Yeah. And we had Scottie Christopherson and Chris Allen exchanging point guard duties.
Yeah, and Royce White. That's
that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not unreasonable, but like,
no, like we're legitimately the only, other than Iowa wrestling, we're the only team that could win a national championship. Iowa State basketball. That's what I think. In like Division I, like the big sports, Iowa State basketball is the only. I don't think Iowa can.
Oh, and in the Iowa universities,
then just Iowa universities, we can win a championship in basketball.
You could argue that Iowa could this year,
but they can't guard a soul.
But like this year's down. Like anyone could win it this year.
I know, like, but just saying, like
in history, you're saying. That.
I mean, Iowa. There's lucky that Wieskamp was an Iowa fan, Bohannon was an Iowa fan, the McCaffreys are the sons of like. Yeah. That saved Fran's job.
Yeah, he was like on his way out.
Yeah, and then Garza's
a good college player.
Yeah, he like developed just like George did. I mean,
I think
I'd say George is way better as a freshman than Garza.
Dude, yeah, you look back at some games, George as a freshman. Good. But I was watching that. So we watched the Kansas game, the missed charge call from Elijah Johnson, and there's one play where George pick and pop to the left elbow, hits a 3 in Jeff Willie's face. He's talking shit the entire way down. He's like, "Are you gonna guard me?"
Yeah.
And Jeff Willie started laughing. I was like, George was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And Kansas had just played in the national title game that year.
Yeah. That's what we're missing. Like George's first start was at Kansas, and he got teed up like the first 3 minutes because he was talking crap.
See, like I love that shit.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why George is a legend. Will go down as like a top 4 Iowa State player ever, just because of his personality and just how good he was.
Yeah, top 2.
And like people forget he was high school teammate of Nerlens Noel.
Yeah, Fran said that like 20 times.
Like little known fact.
Yeah.
George played with Nerlens Noel.
It turns out that George is having a better NBA career than Nerlens is.
Yeah, Nerlens has been a flop.
Yeah.
Nerlens could jump, and that was it.
Just crazy. Oh, yeah. I remember like there was like a film of like their high school, and then like they're in a table, and George is like, how like he was gonna
shave the college in his head.
Yeah, he's like, you can put a cyclone back there. And I was like wishing that he'd somehow come to Iowa State, but
yeah. But also thinking like I know like we make fun of like them making those comments, but can you imagine playing George and Nerlens Noel in high school?
Yeah, and then Wayne Selden was on that team too. Yeah,
but that starting lineup, like
yeah, that's insane.
Or, like me match up with George, you guard Wayne Selden, and
Brian's guarding Nerlens. Nerlens Noel.
Brian Larson, a former offensive guard for the Iowa State Cyclones. So, yeah. No, it's sad.
It's honestly just sad.
It is sad, but it's also like, it's just time. Like
it can't get worse than this.
It can't get worse. There's no signs that it's going to get better with the current regime, and Iowa State fans are like very quick to like get excited about stuff. I mean, look at like look at us during the Paul Rhodes era. Every single year, we're like, this is the year we're gonna make a bowl game. Like we've got talent. Alan Lazard is a sophomore. Then we win like 2 games.
Yeah, that's funny you say that. When we lost UNI, Campbell's first game, I literally said to everyone, I'm like, I am done. I'm done being an Iowa State fan. I put so much energy and thought into this. I'm done. And like I didn't really watch any of the games the rest of the year.
You watched those last 3 games.
Yeah, we beat Texas Tech
66-10.
Yeah, and like then I was like, okay. And then I moved to Arizona, and then you
missed a big year.
We should have lost. We should have beat Iowa that year when Jacob Park and Hakeem Butler and then Alan Lazard. We like that game.
I don't even remember that game.
Yeah, we were wearing
that was the David Montgomery game. Yeah,
yeah, that's where
overtime.
Yeah, that was a game.
Who was there? The running back Wadley.
Yeah,
Wadley had a screen that went for like 70 yards.
Yeah, we've had some heartbreaking losses to Iowa and Campbell era.
Yeah, which I kind of like. I think Campbell
gets
his fire from like that stuff.
Definitely this year is where we might step on their throat. Hopefully, I hope so.
But the point is the point is changing. As simple as changing coaches, Iowa State fans will be pumped again. Even though the roster probably won't look that much different. Hopefully Tyrese Hunter still comes. But if you just get a guy with X and O's that I'm sorry, just plays an exciting brand of basketball.
Yeah.
Just shoot threes.
I think this year also shows how much the bad coaching of Prohm was like buried because of Hilton Magic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't
I mean,
know. You know what I'm saying?
You get a couple shots, the crowd gets going, then that's when we get stops.
Yeah.
Is like when the crowd is loud.
But then Steve calls a timeout.
Like, oh, okay,
All right,
all right.
We didn't need to do that, Steve. Yeah.
George is going for 30, but all right. Mark Norman. So but that's what I'm saying. Like,
that's a good point.
We change coaches, we hire anyone.
Like, we went from.
We will get behind them. We're like, okay, like, we're not going to expect you to do well the first year or even the second year, but like, as long as we show progress, like, we're going to get pumped, and then Hilton Magic will be back again.
Especially it's the winter. Iowans just going to Iowa State games.
We just need something.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, you look at the first game during the Rhodes era, the UNI game always sold out.
Yeah, and then we'd lose.
We won 10 games during my 4 years at Iowa State.
Yeah.
And then every year we're like, yes, like, I had buddies who were like, we're going to win 9 games this year. We're like,
we have the same players as last year. Yeah, but like,
our offensive line, like,
Paul Rhodes, you could say what you want about him, but like at the very end, he did gift Campbell,
yes,
Hakeem Butler,
huge pieces to start the program.
Joel Lanning.
I have no ill will for Paul Rhodes. I think Paul Rhodes was a great coach for Iowa State at the time. He he got Jack Trice like excitement there. Like, people showed up. Like, we had some huge wins. Like,
he had so much bad luck too.
Yeah,
I'd argue he had more bad luck than Prohm did. That Kansas State game was abysmal.
I mean, bad luck / bad coaching.
Yeah.
The Texas game with Jeremiah George's fumble return.
Yep. Yeah. There's so many. But I'm just like, as your point, like, it takes like 13 months. We went from Deontay Garrett's like against Colorado. Remember we went there? Like, there was barely any people there. Like Deontay's senior year. Remember that? And
then, Calvin Godfrey went off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he got teed up.
Yeah, we're like, but this guy's awesome.
12 months later, it was sold out Royce White Baylor game. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't take that much.
Especially basketball. Like, basketball can be turned around fast. Like, you just need 1 or 2 players and then some guys that play hard and a crowd. But I guess my ultimate point is Fred doubled down on our crowd.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to play a way that gets the crowd in it, and then they're going to be a part of it, and that's going to play a big part in us winning games. And it was.
Yeah.
And that's never been a focus for Steve. And I think that's his downfall. And it's too bad. Like,
it's a plethora of things. And like, ever since TJ left the staff, you can tell. You can tell. The recruit,
I guess.
If you're Jamie Pollard and TJ, he's literally got an Iowa State. Craig Brackens, he got us.
Matt Thomas,
he got us. Deontay Garrett, he got us. Scotty, I think he got us.
Robertson.
Deontay Burton. Jameel McKay. Like, the Wisconsin roots. And he got Mike Taylor back in the day. He's gotten so many Iowa State greats, and like, how do you not hire him?
Yeah,
how do you not hire him?
It's just I get they risked Fred, hit a home run, never head coach. Fred was never a coach. I guess they were scared to do it twice in a row, and I don't think we would be having this conversation if TJ was the coach.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's gonna come here.
No, I don't know.
And I wouldn't blame him. I mean, if you pick
a
guy over
That'd be interesting.
After proving to be a very vital part in the success we had as a basketball program, to kind of like look away and then ask him to be an assistant on that staff, I wouldn't be surprised if there's ill will there. I don't know if there is. I've met TJ. He's also a great guy. So hopefully he can look past it. And his wife is an Iowa State great in the women's team.
Also,
so
would you want to rather raise kids in Vegas or Ames, Iowa?
Yeah. She's from Australia, so it's
I guess.
Yeah. So
it'll be interesting. I feel like we'll definitely be back here talking about who should be the coach.
Yeah.
In a couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I hope, because like,
my official analysis is first call's got to be Fred. It's probably going to be no, but you've got to make the call.
No, we need first call donors. Hey, we need to pay to get Fred.
No. The first call is Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell needs to call Fred. Like, okay, Fred.
Yeah. Hey.
Me and you are going to be the face of Iowa State.
Forever. For 20 years.
Literally there will not. That would be probably a top 5
Like
big sports head coaching duo.
Yeah.
Name another one that's even close.
I don't know. You can't really.
I mean, Bill
Oklahoma,
Snyder and
Lon Kruger and Lincoln Riley, I'd say.
That's really good.
That's
That's really good.
Yeah.
Lon Kruger's a great coach.
Yeah. We just
Or Bill Snyder and who's their coach now?
I mean, they're one in
But I mean, he's had
Bill
what's his name?
Weber.
Yeah,
Bruce
Coach
Weber?
Weber. Bruce Weber.
Bruce Weber.
That was a pretty good duo.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would take Fred Matt Campbell over that. So.
I don't know. Fred's got a 5-star recruit coming in next year.
But they're bad. They've won
They're
like
really
2
bad,
Big
too.
10 games.
I don't know. I don't really get the logic. It'd be hard. I don't know. What would be the selling point? Be like, you can come back here and start from square one. Square one.
But I guess the argument is like he's essentially at square one now. We have a 4-star coming in next year. Just convince him to stay.
Yeah.
And the message hits way home. Like Nebraska Magic isn't a thing.
No, it's
The
not.
Magic would come back pretty damn quick if Fred Hoiberg's walking out of that tunnel.
I don't know. I just wish.
And again,
I
like,
wish it
it's
lined up better than
It's
this.
a hack thing. It's not. I don't think it's
Gonna happen.
gonna happen.
It's just.
But it's
us
okay.
wishful
I
thinking.
think. And then I guess the next call is TJ.
Which.
Convince him to bring Caleb Grill back with him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who grew up an Iowa State fan?
Yeah.
Um,
Transfers from Iowa State.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Transfers from Iowa State, and we
Yeah. So
You
and
know
then
things
after that, I have no idea who the calls are.
you know things are bad when your own fans play on your roster transfer.
there's pictures of like Caleb Grill like balling up as like a 4-year-old in an Iowa State jersey, and he's like,
Could you imagine
Not
doing
for
that?
me.
That'd be so sad. Like imagine
that's essentially like us going to Iowa State and then transferring.
Yeah, that's really bad. Really bad. And the question is, I don't know if we need to say it. Like, who do you want to come back? From this
I
roster?
don't want to like bash college,
Yeah,
kids.
I guess you're right.
but Solomon Young, I just hope he gets a really nice job next year and
at
has a great
AT&T or
life and
something.
has
Yeah.
a ton of kids and
Yeah,
hopefully are better basketball players than him.
he has 2 Big 12 championship
Yeah.
rings. Like
He's
tournament-
been
tournament.
a average to below average role player that has played key parts in some really good teams.
For some reason we're running it through. We're running our offense through him now.
Yeah, we just put him at the high post, and sometimes he turns around and shoots it,
Shoots
and
an
it goes in.
Yeah, an 18-footer. He
And
just
then other
cream
times he shoots a hook shot and it doesn't hit anything, and then he claps and then runs very slowly back. But we're not going to bash college kids.
I mean, he's almost
He's your
24.
age.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
but I don't know. It's kind of hard not to, but it's kind of hard to talk about the players when it's probably not. It's not their fault,
right, and yeah, I feel bad for him. I mean, like
especially with like there's no crowd and you're just getting your
just
butts kicked every game.
day, and like their effort has been
Pretty
way
good.
better than it should be, to be
Yeah,
honest.
Yeah,
So
it does kind of wane there, but like it's human nature. Like
yeah, exactly.
the conference is
they're
loaded. this
young
year.
kids, and like when you're losing, it
Every game.
sucks.
No crowd. You have to like be in a bubble. You can't do anything.
Yeah. No, it's a tough year. I don't feel envy for them, and I'm sure that has something to do with why we're not going to win a single game. We probably would have won 1 or 2.
We might.
I don't think that's justification for bringing Steve back.
There's no Jeff. Like we should have been fired if we had like the money to it. He'd been already fired this year.
Yeah.
But like I don't know.
But we'll see. It's a bummer that like my excitement for college basketball as a whole rides a lot on how good Iowa State is. Even when we were bad, like just having little glimpses of excitement that made me hopeful for next year.
Even the Greg McDermott era was still fun to watch, kind of.
Yeah.
We had like Wesley Johnson, we had Craig Brackens, we had
But, like,
Deontay Garrett.
Those experiences that first weekend of March Madness when we're playing in it,
Yeah, it's so awesome. And, like
so awesome.
the Big 12 tournament, like
The Kansas City venue, like it's just an unreal experience. It's sad that we're here, but I don't think it's impossible to get back. Like you said, like Fred did it really quickly. I think the right guy can do it again, but we'll see. I think 97% of the fan base is kind of in agreement that Steve needs to go, and I don't think they
it's
necessarily
99.
hate him.
it's 99%.
Like everyone says, he's probably a good guy, but that's not a justification for keeping a guy as a head coach. So I'm excited to see kind of where we go. Again, between now and next basketball season, we have football. So
yeah, we have the best football team by a mile coming in next year.
yeah. So as soon as basketball season's over, we're gonna forget about basketball until January.
Yeah,
So,
or
and that's okay.
until after we like play in the New Year's Six game again, maybe.
Yeah. Which again, we've touched on a lot of topics that will be touched on later in the podcast. Again, we are as big as Iowa State fans as you can get, and
we get obsessive, as you can tell.
Yeah, it's fun, and we just want to bring something that kind of shows what Iowa State fans are like, and just how obsessed we can get. Like we referenced bits of games that happened 8 years ago.
Yeah,
and we talk about them about every week. So we're just
it was like literally our childhood. Like, and we got like what Fred brought us to. I thought was not possible growing up.
No,
like I thought we were just like I would like play on the Nerf hoop
in the basement
when I was younger. And I'd watch like the Big 12 title, like highlights from when Tinsley was there over and over and over again.
Which like it didn't seem real, and that happened during our
like,
life.
Why couldn't I have been at our age like back then?
But like that Michigan State loss probably hurts a lot more.
That would have hurt so bad,
especially because we were probably the best team in the country that year.
Yeah, we played Florida like as a 12 seed in the Final Four.
Beat them by 20, and
yeah.
Right. So I'm thankful I was only 4, because.
But Tinsley, though, never lost in Hilton, never lost to Kansas. Yeah. 2 regular season Big 12 championships.
Yeah, if you're a young Iowa State fan, just search him on YouTube. It's hard to kind of find highlights, like full highlights of his Iowa State time, but like
he was so good.
I will stand by he is better than Monte Morris, and Monte Morris is absolutely incredible. But I think if I think Monte Morris is playing Jamal Tinsley, I think Jamal Tinsley wins.
It's closer than I ever thought it'd be. But it's still Tinsley. Yeah. The thing about Tinsley and like Monte's like game, I think Tinsley average 4 turnovers a game compared to Monte. But he made it work.
There was times where Tinsley's like, okay, you're not going to guard me.
Or I can literally blow by anyone. And like he's blowing by Kirk Heinrich.
Who's like a all NBA defensive team.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah. Well, anyways, we can talk about we talk about that all the time.
This is
just
literally a conversation we have about every couple of days. So we're excited to hopefully develop some fans and that want to interact with us, and
sounds good.
Just give us some topics for what we should talk about next. Because again, we could talk about this for literally days.
Yeah.
So we're excited to get some more out there, and we'll
talk
to you guys soon.
All right.